or $5,000 and a new car for $1,000. And now, houses are three, four, $500,000 because the dollar has lost 99% of its value. It's monopoly money. Gold and silver are real money. And so you're seeing there is a massive shift here. Here's an article. Philip Smith, group CEO of StoneX, discusses gold market and tariffs on Sky News Arabia. This just came out. Let's go down here what Smith said. Smith also noted a substantial increase of physical gold moving into the United States in the past 2 months. He says, quote, "What we've seen in the past 7 or 8 weeks in the market was probably one of the largest physical movements of gold from all over the world into the United States. We estimate over 2,000 tons, okay, 2,000 tons of gold." Actually, I'm curious. Let me go ask Grok, okay? Let's say, "Hey, Grok, how much is 2,000 tons of gold worth?" Right? How much gold has come into the United States? Well, according to Grok, thank you, Elon, for Mr. Grok. Kind of slow. So roughly, they're looking at final answer. So we're looking at about $189 billion. That's at current spot price. So almost $200 billion, almost $250 billion worth of gold has moved back into the United States just in the past 7 or 8 weeks. And this has been, this is before Trump even got in. This was starting. Something significant is happening. Now, there's a lot of speculation. Are they going to revalue gold? Right now, gold right now is sitting on the books on the asset sheet of the U.S. government at around $45 an ounce, which is ridiculous. Whereas it should be even $3,000 an ounce. So there's a lot of speculation that they might revalue it at $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 an ounce. We don't know. If they revalue it at $4,000 an ounce, instantly that balance sheet goes to about $1 trillion. That would be huge. But that's just the beginning of it, because it's not just about the United States. It's what you see is that the entire world is ditching the global reserve currency of the United States dollar. The dollar's dying. The dollar, it's a fiat currency. Fiat currencies have life cycles. The dollar is dying, and the entire world is shifting into gold. Now, Fort Knox, there's been a lot of speculation. Is the gold still in Fort Knox? So the last time it was audited, I think, was 1974. Was the last time it was actually audited, which does that make it weird? I mean, imagine, okay, we're a country and we have this massive asset. So imagine that your household is a country and you had this huge asset sitting in your basement in the corner, tucked away in some shoe boxes. You've got a bunch of gold and silver in there. But imagine that you actually haven't checked if it was there for 50 years. It's just something really, really strange about that. But the fact here, it was, first the discussion of auditing Fort Knox was just some Twitter back and forth between Elon Musk and a few other people. And it was almost a joke. And Elon Musk is like, "Oh, wait, right? They must be looking at that once a year, right?" Of course he's playing dumb. He knows exactly what's going on. Okay. And there's a speculation about it. But actually, Trump just confirmed here in this video. Here's a 30-second video. Listen to Trump.
"We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there." Are they going to? You know that we're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that? Sir, that was a bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the gold have gone?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset. We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the...
So there you go. So even President Trump has now publicly stated that they're going to be auditing Fort Knox. Now, there's a lot of information. I covered this in my show a couple nights ago that indicates, it shows that it appears that a lot of the gold out of Fort Knox was basically stolen through the Rockefellers and through a bunch of shady bank deals and the European banking cabal. That gold was taken out of Fort Knox and sent over to Europe. So is that why it's being repatriated? Are they refilling Fort Knox? Trump is always 10 steps ahead with negotiation and business. Maybe he's already filled Fort Knox. Maybe he filled Fort Knox back in his first term. And maybe what he's doing now is even stacking more on there. So maybe instead of, having the equivalent of $1 trillion worth of gold in Fort Knox, maybe he's got $4 trillion worth of gold in Fort Knox. That'd be a lot of gold. Who knows? But if you look at all of these things together, you look at this storyline that we're following back since 2019, something significant is getting ready to happen. There's no other way to make sense of this except for some sort of massive financial reset. Now, a lot of people have been worried about some sort of reset forcing people into a central bank digital currency. I don't think that's on the table, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't believe that. But countries around the world going back to a gold standard, and wouldn't that be the best? Wouldn't that be the best if every currency around the world was actually just pegged to gold? It would equalize everything that's been unfair. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of ramifications about this that I don't understand. I'm not a financial guru, okay? I'm just doing my research and showing you my research. But if you look, even again, look at what's happened between the US and China. Why is it that China has been able to steal all of our manufacturing? Because China has manipulated their own currency. They've manipulated their currency to make their currency so artificially cheap that they can produce a product in China that you can buy for $1, $1 that would take someone here $10 to produce. So it's created an insanely unfair advantage for these countries that are willing to manipulate their currencies. Now, because the United States has been the global reserve currency, they've had to keep the dollar strong. This is the Triffin dilemma, is that the nation that is has a global reserve currency, they need to keep their currency strong. They need to keep exporting their currency. But to do that, though, they lose their competitiveness as an export nation, meaning the US, the United States has sucked as a manufacturing nation for decades now because of even just not to mention the gutting of our factories and all this kind of stuff, but just looking at the currency wars and because the currency was so overvalued compared to other currencies. So if I was Trump, and Trump has talked a lot about bringing the golden age back to America, well, to do that, he has to devalue our currency. He has to make the currency more competitive. And in my opinion, going back, not necessarily to an exact, say, gold standard, like one-to-one gold standard, but bringing gold back into the equation allows him to get ahead of that. And if he's fighting a financial war against the BRICS nations who have been actively working to de-dollarize the world, wouldn't the best strategic move Trump could do is to beat them to it? If they're trying to weaken the US dollar and bring everyone back to a gold standard so the United States gets caught kind of with their pants down, wouldn't the best thing Trump could do to be ahead of them and to say, look, well, I'm going to bring all the gold back to the United States. Then we'll go back to that gold standard and we'll see how we all fare. There's a lot of questions I have. I don't know exactly what's going on, but all I know is that my research that I've done is showing that there is a distinctive pattern that we are seeing. And what I'm seeing is that there's a massive global shift that is getting ready to happen that I believe will be the greatest financial reset this world has ever seen. Now, joining me on the show is going to be Colin Plume, my very good friend, CEO of Noble Gold, who understands the gold market. He's been buying and selling, billions and billions of dollars worth of precious metals. And so he's going to help us understand from his perspective what he's seeing, because he has a whole different lived experience than someone like me. He's been doing this. He knows what it was like back in 2008, what happened in the gold markets and what happened, et cetera. So I've got an interview with him, maybe about 15, 20 minutes or so. And I think it will really help to round out this overall discussion. But fundamentally, folks, we are getting ready to enter onto a wild ride. So buckle up. Mr. Colin Plume, it's great to have you back on the show. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Yeah, exciting. Thanks for having me on. No, lots happening. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, since Trump got in, it's been a very wild ride with USAID, all these executive orders. I never had auditing Fort Knox on my bingo card for the first month and a half of Trump being in office, but now the discussion of auditing Fort Knox, the discussion of reevaluating gold, the continued. I saw a clip with Howard Lutnick just talking about Trump's goal to end the IRS. I mean, these are major changes, and not just changes to America, but these are changes that affect the entire global financial system. So, what do you make of all of this?
Well, it's been on my bingo card since I've been in the business for 16 years. So I will say, not that I thought it was going to happen now, but I'm excited to see this level of excitement and this renewed interest. And I was talking to I was talking actually to a person that's sort of connected to the administration, and he was saying that like the thing about the president is that he doesn't want to tip his hat too early on anything. So he did at the inauguration in a lot of the parties that weren't the main ones. He did talk a lot about gold. It was not only the golden age, but he did talk a lot of it. It wasn't in the meetings or it wasn't on the news as much. And I think a big part of it is if he tips his hat too early that we're going to do this audit or that we're going to potentially have gold bonds or we're going to monetize gold, it would just shoot as soon as he says something, it would just shoot the price up too much. And if the US government wants to buy more gold or add more to their holdings to strengthen themselves, and I think it would be a very strong move for them to do that, um, then I think he's going to wait until he's ready to make that announcement, because I think everybody knows if they say we're going to do a gold bond or we're going to try to get back to some kind of, partial gold standard so that we can't just print money the way that we have been. Um, I think you don't want to do that too early. Similar to what China tried to do last year, where they came out in March and said that we're going to stop buying gold. They were like, we're not going to buy gold. And only because they knew the price was going to continue to go up. They don't want to send a message to the market that the price is going to go up. So I think President Trump is doing something similar. There's so many different ways to look at this audit. The one thing that I would like to point out is that from the actual metal that's there, it's not going to be that purity of gold will not be approved to go on any exchange. A lot of people think gold is gold is gold. It is. There's gold content, if hopefully there or not. I guess we'll find out. But when they took back gold in 1933 and they melted down the gold coins, those coins that were in circulation were around 90% gold. Because you didn't want to have, you wouldn't have a 24 karat gold coin in circulation because it's too soft. So all the coins that we used to have in circulation were 22 karat and less. So what we have, if we have gold at Fort Knox, the gold there is about 90% gold, give or take, maybe a little bit less. And they call them coin bars. So a lot of the numbers about how much we have are inflated because they're calculating the math wrong. Also, if we were going to make it a proper exchange, they'd have to actually combine bars to get to the purity that is accepted today. Because the purity of this bar is 24 karat, it's 0.999. So I think so it's 10% more. Basically, what I'm saying is that there has to be a shift no matter what. Number two, obviously, the last time they calculated the math on the gold in 1974, it was at $42.22. What number are they going to recalibrate or revalue the gold at today? One of our analysts at Noble Gold was saying that it would make sense for them to do it at $4,000 an ounce, for the reasoning that at $4,000 an ounce, based on the amount of tonnage we have, that would be about $1 trillion. And so I think it would be an easy way to have math. And I don't know if they're going to want to do an audit every year either. And so maybe they just give us a higher valuation number, which is basically what they did in 1933 too. They came to a higher valuation. So they may go to 4,000. So we have $1 trillion in gold. And that's $1 trillion on the books that we never really had because they never valued it. So from where it is today, let's say they use that 4,000. This is just theory, of ideas that we're coming to. And then there's talk about them doing gold bonds based on the gold that we have, which would be fantastic if we did that, because we could offer a return that is higher than, let's say, the 10-year treasury. Maybe we can sell more of these bonds, sell less of these 10-year treasury bonds. The 10-year treasury drops, and then what happens when the 10-year treasury drops. Then mortgage rates drop finally, and then we can start moving some real estate. So there's some interesting ideas that can happen with this audit. And then I guess the one thing I would say is if they don't do the audit, I would say that that's basically a sign that we don't have enough gold, right? I mean, that would be a leading indicator because they're opening up the books on everything. Why wouldn't you open up the books on one of the biggest assets that you own uh, as a country, right? So
Exactly. Well, what's also interesting with this whole thing is that if you look at the BRICS de-dollarization campaign, which they've been really stomping on the gas with, of eliminating the
yeah,
petrodollar status, really we're seeing even a continued. I mean, I was looking through the news headlines this morning that more countries are now dumping U.S. Treasury bonds and moving towards gold. So
yeah,
it looks like, from what I'm seeing, that instead of a say a reserve currency, it seems like that the whole world is looking to go back more towards a gold reserve as like a
mhm,
basis, right? Because now I know there's speculation of potential some sort of Bitcoin or digital currency, but to me it's too volatile. If I was say I was the king of, Malaysia or something, like I wouldn't want to be backing up my reserves against, or back up my own currency against a digital currency. What if there's a power outage? What if there's a grid down
yeah,
event, right, where no one has
yeah,
access to that? That's gold has been what it is for thousands and thousands of years in society for a reason. But if you're looking at the campaign of the de-dollarization, what it seems like that what's happening is that Trump, with the tariffs, with the whole idea of bringing manufacturing back, it's almost like what he's trying to do is to accelerate the de-dollarization, which then makes the dollar more competitive, our exports more competitive because our dollar is not overvalued. But that then seems to be part of a bigger picture of the fact that why is the United States in this situation? It's because, well, the dollar was artificially high. Countries like China had their currencies artificially low, and it created these massive trade imbalances, which really screwed America. And we exported all of our manufacturing and everything. And so
right,
it seems like the whole world going back to something that is more rooted in, say, gold to back their currencies instead of a fiat currency like the US dollar. It to me, it just, a lot of signs are pointing towards something like that, and the fact that we've had, like, I think there's an article I was looking at, there's a guy, a CEO, saying that there's been 2,000 metric tons of gold repatriated in the past, like, 30 or 40 days or so. So the amount of
yeah,
gold coming back into America, like, there's something going on here.
yeah, 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 and I think also it sort of opened up the discussion about having gold, a contract of gold and how safe that is because now we realize that the London Exchange, they didn't have ounce for ounce, right? I mean, because people were calling in their contracts and going, okay, yeah, I understand a lot of people want their gold back in the US, but it doesn't matter. I have a contract that's supposed to be there. Where's the gold? And they didn't have enough gold to fulfill the orders, which means they were running like a fractional storage, which investors did not think that they had. Now, this has been speculation for years that ETFs and these contracts are really not backed. And I've even 100 to 1 or 200 to 1. So if we start to see more of this push, if more countries are starting to buy more gold, and by the way, it's not that they haven't been. The central banks of the world have bought over 1,000 tons every year for the past 4 years. I mean, that's a significant increase. To get you an idea, I mean, the US supposedly has 8,400 tons. We're in the lead. The world is trying to catch up. The world is absolutely Russia and China, and Poland did a massive buy in November. So all of these countries that are kind of seeing the way things are going, and a lot of countries that don't have essential um, minerals or assets, they've decided, hey, we got to have some gold in our holdings. So I think it's strange because like as I'm having conversations with people, and people are like, oh, the price, I can't believe the price. But and this is, by the way, so this has happened since I started in this business. There's never been a time where people didn't say that gold was too expensive to me. This is what they've always said. Even when gold was at 700, they've always said that. Yet when they go to the grocery store and the meat has gone up 10 or 12%, or the eggs have gone up 60 or 70%, that they understand, but they still don't understand why gold has the potential to continue to go up. Um, and it's all the same. It has to do with demand. It has to do with inflation is still at 3%. It's not going anywhere. There's no indication that inflation is going to get better this year. I know that Elon Musk and they have this bold plan to try to shrink inflation significantly, but I don't think anything's going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to happen this year. So if you have 3% inflation, the Fed their hands are tied. Their hands are tied on what they can do. They want to do stuff. They want to lower interest rates. They want to do all these things. They can't. So I think that, these are the things people are really talking about. And then the thing that no one's talking about is silver. Silver just every day. I mean, I look at it multiple times a day. Silver's at, 33 today. No one's talking about silver. And it's going to break 40. It's going to maybe in the second quarter. I think everything's going to move much faster than, in my book, I anticipate $60 silver in 2 years, which I still think is a realistic number. But I didn't expect, it to break 40 this year, but I was kind of thinking in the $37, $38 range. But with the demand that we're seeing and the fact that really no one's really talking about silver, everyone's really just talking about gold. I think there is an incredible opportunity in silver right now. And then on top of that, the silver coins and bars that we're selling, our cost is the lowest it's ever been. Like that we're getting it at the best possible prices because the mints have slowed down minting. They're not able to get it. So we just have this inventory. So people are getting products at prices that we've never seen in silver. So, and we're seeing a lot of people that are selling their gold and going into silver, and that might make sense for you. I'm not recommending that. Some people believe that, that's the way they want to go. They think in the short term, the silver is going to do better. But there's some things, unprecedented things that I'm seeing in the physical market, in the real coins and bars, that I've never seen in the 16 years that I've been doing. The opportunity, how much silver you can get for the dollar right now is it's an unprecedented savings from what I've seen in the past.
No, it really is, especially looking at the ratio. Because silver is hovering around 1 to 90 ratio against
Yeah,
gold, which isn't the historical average closer to 15 to 20 in terms of the
15 to
ratio?
20. I think the 100-year average is like 50, 45, 50. So yeah, I mean, I think any way you look at it, silver is just an amazing. And I think, with gold rising, silver is going to continue to move up too. So you're going to see that continue to grow. Obviously, the $3,000 gold is like this. That's like a tipping point number, right? All these 2,000 was and 3,000. So I wouldn't be shocked if gold goes to 3,200, pulls back to 320. I think there's going to be, a 10 to 12% range, on gold over this year. But I also it could move much faster because if this audit comes out in a bad way, or if we decide to do something really strong with gold, we are sending the U.S. would be sending. We basically there's never been a president that talked about gold or going back on the gold standard since Ronald Reagan in 1984. That was the last time any president even talked about gold. They don't even mention it. So the fact that President Trump's talking about it, that we're looking at all of our assets as a country, and he's going, hey, we got, $800, $900 billion here that we've never really tapped into. And so I think that, and then, I will say that the devil's advocate side of like, some people would say like, well, maybe we should sell the gold. Right. And I will say in the last 25 years, there's been 2 countries that have sold their gold. There was Great Britain. In 1999, they sold 50% of their gold holdings, and they sold gold at $270 an ounce, give or take. So it was one of the worst sales by a central bank ever. And then Canada in 2012 or 2016, I can't recall, sold all of their gold at about $1,200 an ounce. And so they're sitting with nothing in their coffers, and also regarded as one of the worst mistakes. So I don't think this administration is going to want to follow suit and sell an asset that is so in high demand right now. So I sort of I want to dispel that myth. I think it wouldn't be logical for this administration to make that move in this environment.
I agree. And so, considering how hot of a topic is right now, and I'm seeing, posts, every hour, there's a screenshot going up on Twitter. A new exchange is now marking sold out. There'll be a screenshot of a Japanese exchange or a Korean exchange or a Swiss exchange, and it'll say, 10-gram bars, 100-gram barbs sold out, sold out, sold out, and silver as well. So not just gold, but you're seeing a huge run on silver and gold, which if it then
Yeah.
breaks the paper market, I mean, that alone could send it, to the moon. But for people that are watching this and are interested in getting gold or silver, what are some pitfalls? Like, what should they look out for? Because I used to work in the jewelry and precious metals industry, and I saw a lot of like really, really unsavory behavior, to put it kindly. And it's treacherous because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tungsten weighs the same as gold, basically. So you might be, think you're buying a 1 kilo tungsten or gold bar that's got a tungsten core, right?
Yeah.
So, what are some things that people should just be watching out for in terms of make sure that they're protecting themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is reviews. You should check the reviews. Check it on Noble Gold, check it on the company you're talking to, because they're really the devil is in the details. And that sometimes you see a price that seems great, and then you go to that company and the reviews are absolutely terrible. That the quality of the product is not what they want, or maybe their package didn't get there the way that it was. I mean, there are a lot of these things happening. I know people believe in today's day and age, there's protections, but to be honest, you send money to a company and you don't look at what they've done in the past, you could be in a bad position. The other thing that happens is this free gold and silver scam. And we call it the war on semi-numismatic gold. So basically, companies will buy a polar bear coin from a mint, and they'll buy all of them, and then they'll tell the buyer that this coin has a rarity there that only they're going to get, and they're also on top of that they're going to get this rare coin, but also they're going to get free gold and silver. And obviously, people think, "Oh, this is great! I'm getting free gold and silver." What they don't realize is they're marking up those rare coins. I've seen up to 70% markups. And so I read a review recently of one of our competitors where the person wrote that they bought gold at around $1,900 an ounce. And even today at $2,900 an ounce, they were not in profit. And that's because the markup was so high. So they thought they got free gold and silver, but actually they paid a 50% markup. And then the free gold and silver had a 50% markup too, or 60%. So you just got to be careful. Check. There are these reviews out there. So if you just spend some time, you go to the BBB or you go to different places, you can spend time. So you want, what we sell is bullion, coins, and bars, and you want a dealer that buys and sells, and you want a dealer that buys and sells not a huge inventory of items, because if you buy from a dealer that sells 5,000 products, they're going to have even a markup or a commission, a heavy one on the way out, because if they have all these products, they don't know what's going to sell. We basically sell 12, 13 products between gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. So we're always churning products. So we don't need to make money on the back end. We just get it and sell it to the next person, because we've limited the items that the buyer gets. So we had a client who sold his gold and went into silver last year and had almost $1 million in profit. And they bought from us in 2021. They sold back to us last year, and now they decided to move into silver this is what they believe was going to happen. That being said, it didn't matter to me. The fact that I saw that a client had almost $1 million in profit in something that I sold to them was amazing. And so I think people don't realize that these potential is there in our business, that you could do these kind of things. On top of that, they saved so much money because they had physical delivery of the metal. So they didn't have any storage fees. They didn't have any annual fees. They just bought it and held it. And if you compare, $100,000 in storing it at your home, and you compare that to $100,000 in a mutual fund or $100,000 in other investments, they all charge 1 to 3% in fees. So over that time period, just buying it from us, holding it, and then selling it back, he saved money on holding costs, everything there. He also had possession of the product. So he never had to worry about any counterparty risk. So I think there's underlying elements to what we do, comfort level, that what we do with a physical item that you can't replace with a stock market product. So there's other things too. So, and these are the things that when people call us, we can go over in sort of detail. And these are sort of the hidden secrets of our business, is that there's not just the idea that you're in control, but also the idea that there is some substantial savings in the idea that you can just control the asset yourself. Even in the IRA, our fees are all flat. And so that's also a benefit too, because even if you store it in a segregated IRA with us, the flat fee of $275 per year, it doesn't go up. So if your 50,000 goes to $2 million, we still charge you $275. In a mutual fund or any other account, as your account grows, your fees grow. And there's a lot of calculators out there where people calculate how much money they've lost. 1 to 3% over the life of an IRA or a retirement account could be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that you're losing in compound growth. So the idea that we've negotiated this flat rate for an IRA is also a benefit to our clients. And that includes full coverage, Lloyd's of London insurance on their metals. So if anything happens, they're insured, they're segregated. So they're not getting discounted service. They're just getting it because we've done so much volume. They get this incredible storage rate. So these are sort of the inside things that I think people don't realize when they're comparing investments and different things out there. So we can go into detail when people call us. And but I just think it's just an absolutely incredible, exciting opportunity right now. And I've never seen anything like it in the precious metals market.
I'll pull up one tweet as you're talking about the central banks buying up all this money, all the gold. This is a tweet from Mike Adams, Health Ranger. He says, "Gold just hit another all-time high around 2950. I'm convinced that given what's about to happen with debt and currency resets, those who hold gold will be the new wealthy, and those who hold dollars will be the impoverished." And I have to say, I tend to agree. One thing I'll just share with you as we're closing up in terms of, a lot of my friends and family come to me for advice on precious metals because I knew, I understand the industry. And I always say really two things. One, maximize your weight. Like if you're buying, don't buy fancy, like
Yes,
in a scenario,
correct.
don't pay a $20 premium for a silver eagle if you can get a buffalo for a $5 premium.
Yeah,
Maximize ounces. And the other thing is that I look at it, it's like, don't look at it as you're spending $100,000 on gold. All you're doing is you're reallocating your asset because that
right.
$100,000 in gold, if you buy it right, in a year from now, it's so easy to convert that back into liquid cash if you need to. And
Absolutely.
that's how I
Yep.
look at it. Is it's not blowing money. It's actually, to me, it's the best way to save money. Because if I've got, you know, $350 into a 10-ounce bar like this, I'm not going to go waste it on something. It keeps
Sure.
my hands off of it. So it's like the best
Yeah.
savings account ever. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Set it and forget it. Right. So, yeah. So Seth, yeah, no, absolutely amazing. Obviously we have a lot of promotions. Anyone seeing this, call in. We've been partners with Seth for a long time, but we have a lot of great promotions going on right now. It's also coming into tax season. So if you're thinking about doing something with your IRA or you saw your 401k statement and you're thinking about making a move, it's a great time. You could also add money to your IRA, which is things we can go over. So happy to help, fill out the form or call, and just make sure you mention that you heard us on the Man in America.
Absolutely. So the website is just goldwithseth.com. Make it real easy there. Goldwithseth.com. There's a form, as Colin mentioned, or the phone number 626-654-1906. Again, goldwithseth.com. And so that information will be in the description for the show. Colin, thank you again for coming on. These are exciting times. Like the idea of the IRS getting shut down, and I'm just
Oh,
like I feel like a kid on Christmas.
it's unbelievable. Yeah. And I will say, like, I know they're talking about giving everybody $5,000 in money back because of these audits, but I would say give them 5,000 in silver.
Yeah.
That would go 5,000 in cash. It's okay, but 5,000 in silver would go a long way for a lot of people. Cause I would say in a few years that 5,000 in silver is worth 10,000 and that $5,000 in cash is going to be worth, 4,000 or
Yeah.
3,500.
If,
So
if you're lucky.
If
So,
you're lucky. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Well,
all right,
Colin,
Seth. Thanks
thanks
so
again, man. I
much.
really appreciate it. Numbers don't lie. The impact that Balance of Nature makes every single day is astounding. You can see the numbers for yourself at their website, balanceofnature.com. So, listen to these stats concerning Balance of Nature's worldwide success. More than 1,000 success stories are reported each month, hundreds of thousands of customers worldwide, millions of orders delivered each year, and billions, yes, billions of fruits and veggie supplements consumed by people who've decided to start living better. There's only one number missing. That's you. Do what I did and add yourself to these numbers. Start taking Balance of Nature's whole food supplements, like so many others around the world. Here's another number that should get your attention: 35%. Use my discount code SETH to get 35% off plus free shipping and their money back guarantee. You must use my discount code SETH. So call them at 800-2468-751 and use the discount code SETH, or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use discount code SETH to get 35% off plus free shipping.